Could you do something for 100 days straight? Well, on the 25th of May, 2026, I made the worst decision I could have possibly made. I decided to try and build in Minecraft every day for 100 days straight. You're probably thinking, if it was the worst decision, then why did you even commit to it? And honestly, when I first started, I had no reason why. All I had was passion for creating, for sharing what I loved with the world. And that was all I needed. I didn't need reason because the passion I had for the challenge motivated me to keep going. However, it also blinded me from realizing the sheer stupidity of the decision I just made. I had just committed myself to spending hours of my day on a completely meaningless task, despite having several other priorities. The biggest, in my opinion, is that I am still in education. At most, I had around 6 hours after school, not factoring in other necessities such as eating, doing homework, and also revising for countless tests I had coming up. This means I had to not only spend time making the build, which took anywhere from 30 minutes, hours on end, I also had to make videos despite barely knowing how to edit. Safe to say, it was exhausting. To even keep up this balance, I barely socialized with friends outside of school hours. Not like I did that anyways. Even then, it was still so incredibly hard, which is why I had to try just to myself while I was still going on with this challenge almost constantly throughout the day. So here's the reasons I ended up coming up with. Number one, to improve my editing skill. I thought that by making videos daily, I could almost brute force my way into learning how to edit. And it kind of worked. I got incredibly comfortable with the editing software I ended up choosing to work with, being DaVinci Resolve. I saw through the sheer speed difference between how fast I was able to edit before and how fast I was able to edit by the end of the challenge. Despite the fact that I was mostly adding simple captions and cut to a time lapse of me building, it helped me gain familiarity with how to actually use the software. In addition, due to the nature of making daily YouTube Shorts content for an audience that didn't exist, it gave me the freedom to experiment with a variety of different things, such as adding sound effects and eventually doing voiceover. While some changes weren't the best, by making these mistakes, I create overall better content. Number two, to get a taste of what making content consistently is like. As much as this isn't my first time on YouTube, I never produced content of this scale and at this speed before. Making these videos were firstly meant to mimic working on content creation full time, showing me what it's like to be constantly working on video, but also to give myself a chance. I procrastinate on a lot of things, but I also know, given the right conditions, I'm able to stay consistent on honing and improving within other hobbies, which is why I wanted to see if I could do the same with YouTube. I thought making daily content is the best way to do this, as either I thrive, eventually finding that same rhythm to content creation as I had with many other things before, or I could succumb to burnout and quit. Number three, see if building every day can really help you improve. Finally, I wanted to test a hypothesis I had through something I really enjoyed, being Minecraft building. I've been building and playing Minecraft for many years. I wanted to see if consistency was really better than relying on motivation when you're trying to improve. That's a big factor in why I decided on Minecraft building, as in the past, I'd primarily built whenever I felt motivated. While I am a lot better of a builder now than a few years ago, I've seen many people improving at a much faster rate than me, simply because they were more consistent. So I wanted to see if it was a matter of preference, if doing something consistently really was that much better for improvement. So you might be asking that, did it work? Well, yes, looking at the start of the challenge to the end of the challenge, you might not necessarily see any improvement. However, I definitely think I've become a better builder. For starters, I'm much quicker than I was at the start, despite the quality of the builds being mostly the same, or sometimes even better. In addition, I've gotten more creative. It may simply be due to the nature of the challenge, but my builds are, in my opinion, a lot more interesting and also a lot more out there compared to when I first started. Finally, I've also learned to implement a variety of new building techniques, which help keep my builds fresh and innovative. However, I believe if you did this challenge, you wouldn't achieve the same results I did. That's because the most important part of improving this way isn't the consistency itself, but rather what it provides you. By doing something every day, it gives you a constant point of reference as to where your current skills are at any given moment. From this, you can pick apart what exactly you don't particularly like about each build and what you can change in the future. This is how you improve. You can do this same thing for even longer than me, but if you aren't taking the time to critique your work will not improve. This doesn't only apply apply to Minecraft building. Of course, you can do this for almost any skill you're trying to learn. Of course, you don't need to do it every day. However, what's important is that you're exercising the skill regularly and always having a new problem with what you're currently doing. I like to think of it in 3 simple steps. First, just do something. It differs depending on what you're actually trying to improve in, but from Minecraft building to making the build. Second, examine. Take some time, it only has to be a few minutes, and see what exactly you like and what you don't like about it. Try to aim for at least 3 of each. Finally, iterate. Basically, take what you learned from the previous step and take it with you into whatever you do now. See things you like and try to figure out why you don't like certain parts of what you're doing and what you can do to fix that. This simple 3-stage framework is what I use throughout this channel. Help me improve not only by building, but it's also what I'm using to help me get better at editing video. So, to answer the question I asked at the start of the video, could I do something for 100 days straight? No. By what I've said throughout the video, eventually I just didn't do it. The pressure of knowing I had to make something every day was too much. And after I noticed I had started not posting every day anymore, I felt it was the right time to call it quits. I couldn't reach that illustrious 100 days like I had hoped. Maybe the 100 days wasn't what I really wanted. Maybe the real treasure was the things we learned along the way. Yo, was that tough and poetic, guys? Anyways, if you stayed this long, please like and subscribe. It would really make my day. Thanks for watching.